And I want you to know one thing. It's been a pleasure. You just like to dance, don't you, Carl?
That's right.
You know, you like to dance. That was famous. Hello, welcome to One on One. I'm your host, Greg Walker. I got a good gentleman as our guest today on the show. I think you're going to enjoy getting to know him better if you don't know him already. Gary Baker joins us on the show today. Now, Gary is the owner of Santa Blue Media. He's done a lot of things. He's a multi-talented individual. I think he's got great wit, and he's just a down-to-earth, nice man. I want you to settle back, relax, enjoy a fun, down-to-earth conversation. We're going to find out all about Gary Baker. On this edition of One on One, we'll be back with our guest right after these words.
It's not a day you see coming. It may be sunny or it may be gray, but it's not a day you can get ready for. And it's not a day you would trust to anyone but a friend, because it's not just a day in a lifetime, but a lifetime in a single day.
Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home. People that care, a name you could trust.
Hopefully tune in to Heartland Radio, the only locally owned, locally operated radio stations in the area. 105.1 on the FM, WVRY, and the oldest station around, 1400 AM, WJZM. Tennessee Vol Sports, Austin P Sports, the Atlanta Braves, news, talk, weather, and great music. Solid Gospel, 105.1 and 1400 AM, WJZM. Tune in.
The Leaf Chronicle is now available on every device you carry. Or don't carry. All things Clarksville, in all media, 24/7. Subscribe now for full access.
Welcome to our show today. Our guest in the house, Mr. Gary Baker. Gary.
Mr. Greg, how you doing, bud?
Another day in paradise.
That's right. Beautiful day.
It's lovely, man. We enjoyed the deck this morning.
I enjoy that. I tell you, to start the morning off with a cup of coffee and sunshine on deck, I mean...
You say you do that every morning?
Every morning. Every morning.
Well, see, you live out there in God's country. That's what Fredonia is.
Oh, you know it. You know it.
It's God's country.
Beautiful out there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's let the folks get to know you a little bit, and a lot of you know Gary already. You've been here for, what, 40, 50 years?
Came in 73.
Oh, man. You're a Clarksvillian.
I tell you what, when I first came to Clark, I was 20 years old and working at Butler Shoes.
And now he's 82.
Yeah, now I'm 82.
No, he's 62, I'm sorry.
But when I came here, everyone I met was so nice and treated me like family. I felt at home.
Good.
And so I've been here ever since. I'll probably die in Clarksville unless, somebody gives me a cruise to the Bahamas and I die in a steam bath or,
That's not bad either.
And die there, but
It could be worse.
That's right, but I love Clarksville and it's my home.
You were born and raised Knoxville?
Knoxville, East Tennessee.
God country.
Yep, right down there at the foot of Smoky Mountains.
Bearden High?
Bearden High School, yeah. Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs?
Yeah.
Let me say, Bearden High. Is that where Gary Shepard coached? No. He coached at one of those Knoxville schools for a while. You're very fortunate. Your parents are still living.
They are. They are.
Were they Maryville?
Maryville, Tennessee, yeah.
That's a beautiful little town.
It is. It is a nice town, yeah.
Nice town. What did your folks do for a living?
My dad was a minister for over 50 years.
Really?
He was a Methodist minister, so I'm preacher's kid, preacher's son, so... We can still go on the show. You're not going to ask me to leave because I'm a preacher's son.
I think not.
I was always treated a little differently, but I am blessed. They are still living, and God love them.
Do you have any siblings?
I had an older brother who passed away last year, and I have a younger sister.
And a younger sister.
Yeah.
How were your early years growing up in Knoxville and going to school there?
Well, I was just a typical kid. Going to school, I was not that great of a student. I had, I guess what people call now would be ADD. If they knew what it was back then. Back then, it was just misbehaving, just being a problem child.
Well, then I had it also.
Yeah, I mean, I had one.
I was mischievous.
Yeah, I had one teacher tell me that the only reason she was passing me was that she was afraid she's going to get me the next year. But I was not a very good student. I didn't enjoy school. There were only a couple of subjects that I enjoyed. I enjoyed English and I enjoyed history, and but everything else I just wasn't interested in it.
I got you.
But I did learn how to read, and so I read everything I could get my hands on. I mean, I was a reader. So.
Avid reader.
But I read what I wanted to read.
Well, sure. That's the way it works. But at least I'm gonna bet you if, and this is for any youngster out there, or a young person listening, you may not like school, you may not like to study, and learning may be distant to you right now, but you will agree, the older we get, the hungrier we get for knowledge.
You know it.
Isn't it amazing?
That's right. And how much you regret not feeling that when you were younger. And
Had
your
we
mind
had this
still
hunger then,
Oh, yeah.
what could I have done in school?
Exactly.
I could have been special, and I was just like you.
Were you?
Oh, of course.
Now come on, Greg. You seem like you were probably a pretty good student.
No, I was anything but. I never studied.
Oh, I didn't either.
I mean, I can't think. I've told people this, even in college. I can't think of 10 tests I studied for.
Well, you studied more than me. But if I liked something, if I was interested in, for example, history, then I did apply myself a little bit more than normally. But
anything
math,
I was interested in, I was pretty sharp at.
But math and all that other stuff, it just wasn't for me.
I like speech and debate. Other than that, I didn't,
Yeah.
Well, PE.
well, PE was a little bit different back then.
Yeah, it was. We all had to shower every day, wear gym clothes.
That's right.
The whole deal.
And get out and play and move around and exercise.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if they do that today.
No, they don't. They don't.
Yeah.
Now, I think you said brought you to Clarksville. Butler Shoes?
I was manager of Butler Shoes in the old Two Rivers Mall.
But now, were you working for Butler in Knoxville?
Well, I started there, and they transferred me to a store in Georgia. And I got a phone call that they wanted me to come to Clarksville, Tennessee. Well, I lived in East Tennessee, most of my life.
Yeah.
And really never heard of Clarksville, And the regional manager said, "Oh, you'll love Clarksville. They've got a great little basketball team up there." And at that time, there was a fellow by the name of Fly Williams that was playing.
73.
Yeah. So I came and been there ever since.
Well, you did come at an exciting time in Clarksville history, though, didn't you?
Really did.
Yeah, that
the little red barn and all that. Yeah.
Butler Shoes, and you were in Two Rivers Mall.
Two Rivers Mall. Yeah. Ladies' shoes.
Ladies' shoes.
Oh yeah, that's all they sold.
Well, I'd rather fool with ladies' feet than men.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
that's right. That's right. I worked there and I enjoyed it. I mean, you see a lot of feet.
I bet you do.
Well, back then, it was different. It was the customer service was entirely different. You had to actually wait on a customer, measure their foot, and go through all that. Now, people just get it off the shelf.
It's everything. Well, just sort of like full-service gas station.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
You got service back then. Check your oil, check your water.
Don't you remember that? I mean, the guy would come to your window and say, "Fill her up."
Yes.
And then clean your windshield, check your oil, check your tires. Free. All that was free.
I think it'd still work.
Well, I don't know.
Service.
People are in such a big hurry nowadays. They want to get it and go. And
they are in a hurry. It's no question.
But it was good. It was a good time.
Now, you are the owner of Santa Blue Media. 2004.
Right.
You did that.
That's when I started, 2004.
You say I'm still hanging in there.
I am still hanging.
That's what it's all about.
I've been blessed.
Video, web pages, photography, and graphics.
Exactly.
You love that stuff.
I do. I love a challenge. And being not overly educated, I've had to work harder than a lot of people might. But like I said, I learned to read. That's, give me a book and I can figure it out.
You're lowballing your intelligence. He's a very intelligent gentleman, very knowledgeable about a lot of things. Matter of fact, it was interesting to hear you and Steve Sawyer, our producer on this show, talking this morning. Y'all have a lot in common.
We do have a lot in common. I'm better looking than he is. But
that's man, not hard to do.
I'm just kidding you, man.
He knows you
right.
are. He knows you are. Now you're concentrating more on your photography lately.
I am.
Any reasons for that?
I love it. I like it. It's something that it's a medium I can control. With video, you have to worry about audio, lighting, and all that. And I still do that. But photography.
You got a nice camera with you today.
Well, thank you. It's equipment. If you've got if you've got a good equipment, sometimes that will make you look good, even if you don't know what you're doing.
You know something I think you're good at, Gary? I don't know how many of you are friends with Gary on Facebook, but you're one of my favorite people on Facebook.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it.
You do a great job.
I appreciate it.
When I invited you to be on the show, you wrote just a little post about that. It was really well done.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well done. And I think from the heart. You got quite a few comments on that. Even.
Yes, everything I write, I try to make it from the heart, even if it's,
right,
a bunch of whatever. But I still, and like I was telling you earlier, I really don't have a filter in when I speak. My brain, I'll have a thought and it comes out my mouth, which will get you into trouble. But when you write, you can edit a lot of that, and to where you don't come out looking like too big a fool.
Now, see, I prefer verbal. However, I think that social media has helped my writing skills some, which it needs a lot of help. But
see, you got a great voice. I mean, were you born with that voice?
Well, I guess.
Were you? I mean, when you were a teenager, did your voice change?
Oh, well, of course. I guess everybody's voice changes.
Well, if I had a voice like yours, I might be more prone to speech.
Come on now. Gary Baker's our guest. One-on-One is the show. Segment 2 coming up right after this.
The Leaf Chronicle is now available on every device you carry. Or don't carry. All things Clarksville, in all media, 24/7. Subscribe now for full access.
Folks, I don't know who your financial institution is with, who you do business with, but I do know this. If you'll give my friends at First Advantage Bank the opportunity to be your financial institution, you'll get with a group of people that make you feel special, make you feel like you're just a down-home person, just like them. They have locations all around town, and if you're looking to buy a home, their mortgage loan department since 1954 has helped fulfill the needs of more prospective homeowners than any other financial institution in the area. Real folks, down-to-earth folks, just like you and I. Convenient locations. First Advantage Bank. They're a member of FDIC. They're an equal housing lender. Our guest today is Gary Baker. Gary's the owner of Santa Blue Media. He's done a lot of things. He came to Clarksville from Knoxville and with Butler Shoes back in 1973.
Yeah.
How long did you work with Butler?
About 3 years.
About 3 years. Then went to work with the Leaf Chronicle?
Went to work at Leaf Chronicle. I was working at Butler's, and they were going to transfer me to Chicago.
Ooh.
And just didn't
That
sit
didn't jive,
well,
did
no.
it?
So I looked for employment elsewhere, and was fortunate enough to go to work at Leaf Chronicle.
You know, that's funny. In the 70s, I was working for the J.I. Case Company. They were going to transfer me to Lafayette, Indiana.
There you go.
But they didn't.
Well, I didn't go to Chicago. My daughter ended up living in Chicago. She went to school up there, and but nothing about Chicago appeals to me, and it didn't then, and it still doesn't appeal to me.
How was the newspaper business?
It was a learning experience.
I bet.
Going from a retail setting to the newspaper business, it was a big change. But I adapted and learned so much. So I'm very thankful for the years I spent at the Leaf Chronicle.
Did you leave the Leaf Chronicle to go to Acme?
Well, I worked for Leaf Chronicle on several different occasions. They got rid of me after 3 or 4 years, and then they hired me back, and I went to work at Acme, but ended up in the advertising department at the Leaf Chronicle. But I worked at Acme back during the big craze with the Urban Cowboy. You know, they couldn't make boots fast enough, so they'd hire anybody, and so they hired me.
You were a fitting room supervisor.
Sure was, yeah.
How many people did you have under you?
I had about 107 people work for me. 100 of them were women. So I learned a lot about making boots. I learned a lot about life, and I learned a lot about women.
You did?
I did. But I didn't learn everything there is to know about them, but I learned a lot.
Now, you're not going to tell everybody what you told me.
No, I'm not.
He said, that's reading he's single today. I'm going to tell him what you
No,
said.
Lord, I can't believe you said that.
Why not?
Because I have some great women friends.
I know you do, but still.
I love every one of them. I do.
It's still great, though. And you also did some work with the Maui Cup.
Maui Cup, yeah.
Now, let's talk about that a minute. You ever heard of the Maui Cup?
It's unbelievable. A company could be here so long and have such a low profile, and nobody knows anything about it. But they've been out there since, I guess it's 2000. I think I'm 2001, I believe.
They employed, you told me, about 400 people at one time?
Over 400 people, yes, sir. They were the first company to put process printing on plastic and paper cups. Well, paper cups at that time, which was very,
That's unique at that
very
time.
unique. Very, now it's not a big deal, but back then nobody knew anything about it.
And they're right here in Clarksville.
Right here in Clarksville.
And I'm going to bet you 99% of the people had no idea.
I wouldn't take that bet because nobody, unless you've worked for
Right.
or had dealings with them, they have a very low profile.
When did the idea for Santa Blue come about?
Wow. Well, it just comes to a point in some people's lives when you realize that you have other interests and you have other passions and you want to do something else.
And you wanted to work for yourself.
And I wanted to work for myself.
That was the bottom line.
That was the bottom line, to be able to control my own destiny.
Sure.
And so, and at that time, when I started Santa Blue, online video was in its infancy. Nobody knew anything about it. Nobody was doing it here locally. And I was just very, very interested in doing that kind of work.
Weren't you the first to do memorial videos around this area?
First one in this area to do memorial videos. That's right. It started on the West Coast and kind of worked its way, and I was the first one here to pick up on it.
And you did a great job with those, or still do, but do a great job.
I appreciate that. I work hard at it. Memorial videos, do them for funeral homes and do them for families. A lot of people think it might be a strange way to make a living, but at that time in people's lives, if my video can cause one one family to have a little bit of comfort, or because it's a grieving time. If my videos can help in that regards, and I'm thankful I can do it.
You've also done programming online. You may have been the first locally to do that.
As far as I know, I haven't found any other business or company that had an online presence at that time, because nobody did, Greg. I mean, it was just starting out. So I was the first to put local community programming online video in this area. That's right.
Something to be proud of. You're an innovator.
Well, okay, if you say so.
Well, you are. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I was just interested.
You know, entrepreneurs with innovative thinking, that's what made this country great.
It is, and to sit there and wonder why somebody else isn't doing it. I mean, to me, it's so obvious that would be the logical step. I mean, and look at it today. I mean, look at the thousands of videos that are online. But
Really?
Yeah. But it was 9 years ago I posted the first local video online. Yeah.
You've got your own YouTube.
I have a YouTube channel, Santa Blue YouTube. Last count, I think I had over 2 million views. Now that's views of local community events, local people.
How long have you had that?
Well, 9 years ago.
9
when
years.
it was the first.
And over 2 million views.
Over 2,300,000 last count.
Goodness gracious.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people, man.
I know.
That's a lot of people. And we were just talking this morning with Steve. We might try to start getting one-on-one on YouTube.
Hey, listen, you need to be online. That's for sure. One-on-one needs to be online, and we can do that. We can do that.
You've got to tell the folks, you got some great stories, but the Carolyn Bowers story when you were broadcasting video for the city council and the county commission online,
right.
The meetings. Tell that story.
Well, I was the first as far as I know.
And we love Carolyn Bowers.
I love Carolyn Bowers.
This is a great story.
But every month, of course, you have to show up and set up your camera and try to be as inconspicuous as possible,
right.
Because it is a public meeting.
Yeah.
And one meeting, for some reason, I couldn't go. I had another engagement, so I asked a friend of mine to cover for me. They had done some video, and
right.
I'd done fishing shows, and she had video and helped me video. So I asked her if she would help me out. And didn't think anything else about it till the next day. I got a call and said, "You're not going to be allowed to video the commission meeting anymore." And I said, "Why?" Well, it seemed like my friend had gone and she was dressed inappropriately with short shorts and a halter top, which.
And it looked pretty good from all indications.
In fairness to her, she didn't think anything about it.
Right.
She was used to going outdoors and video.
Yeah, right.
Well, that didn't go over very well. None of the commissioners could get any work done because they were watching my friend video. So it was like, Carolyn Bowers here and everybody else is looking off to the side. So, but it all worked out. I mean, I apologized to Ms. Bowers, and it was not done on purpose, but everything worked out fine. So
she didn't cover for you anymore, though, did she?
No, I managed to be there myself, and I always had to.
Well, it doesn't take much to get council people or commissioners distracted anyway. Did you know that?
No comment.
That's smart. That's smart. Our guest is Gary Baker. Stretch Run Show 1. We're going to have to do 2 shows with Gary. I got too much more I want to talk with him about. When we come back, we'll talk about a show he had for quite a while, Clarksville Outdoors. I love that show. We'll be back with Gary right after this.
Mommy, will Grandma have on a pretty dress like mine?
Yes, dear. She will look very pretty.
Will Grandma have pretty flowers like mine?
Yes, dear. She loves flowers, and she will have many.
Will Grandpa be okay?
He is being well taken care of.
Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home. People that care, a name you could trust.
Folks, if it's round, if it's rubber, and if it rolls, they have it at Clarksville Tire Center, 129 Terminal Road. Now, Terminal Road's right across from Governor Square Mall off Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. My friend, Barbara Ratchford and the folks out there, I promise you, if it's a little red wagon to a semi-truck, they have a tire to fit your need. They also do brake work, alignment work, all different things. They're great folks, price right. Clarksville Tire Center, 129 Terminal Road. Our guest is Gary Baker, and this is show number 1. We're going to do 2 shows with Gary. He's got a lot of things. We won't get to it on this show. We'll talk more about Free and Freedonia by Gary Baker. He's a poet. We'll talk about that next week, along with several other things. But at the end of the show today, I sort of said something about it. You used to have the Clarksville Outdoors television show.
Right.
And it was a fishing show, basically.
It was. Fishing outdoor show. Yeah.
How long did you do that?
Off and on, since 2004, 2005. We would run 2 or 3 seasons and take a season off. And
you had some interesting people on that show.
I did. I had some good people, and we had a lot of fun producing and directing that show. It was a lot of work, as anybody in the television business knows, but especially if you're just one guy. But a friend of mine and I, we were sitting out on my porch one evening, I guess it was around 2004, and just out, he was a fisherman. I had fished as a child, but not that much.
Right.
And he was a big fisherman, and still is, and introduced me to a lot of the people that are locally that are in the sport.
Right.
And I met so many good and nice guys that were patient and take time with me to show me about fishing, show me where to go fishing, take me fishing. And we were sitting out on the porch, my friend and I, Ted Alexander, and I said, we ought to do a fishing show. And he said, well, sure, let's do it. And it was, of course, we found out later, it's not as simple as just sitting around talking about it. But I wouldn't trade a minute of it. We had a good time.
It was a good show. I told you, one of the better shows I saw, you had a gentleman on there twice, Mr. McKinnon.
Bob McKinnon, right.
Boy, he was interesting.
He's a walking encyclopedia. History, you can sit and talk to him for hours.
I think Donnie Haskins was on his show.
Donnie Haskins is on the show. Donnie Haskins, it's an experience to go fishing with. Have you ever been fishing with Donnie Haskins?
I've done everything else.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to get me to go. We got to get out of here for show 1.
Okay, Greg.
It's been fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope you tune in next week. Gary Baker will be back, show number 2. I want to thank Steve Sawyer behind the scenes, and tell your friends, neighbors, and loved ones to tune in. For Gary Baker, for Steve Sawyer, for yours truly, Greg Walker. Till next time, have a nice rest of the day, folks.